Well, now we have Jack Skyyler waiting in the wings, so he'll be the next interview. And here he is. There you are, Jack
Hey,
Skyyler. What's going on?
it's good seeing you again, man.
Yeah. So anyone who doesn't know you, why don't you start off and talk a little bit about
All
what
right.
you do or how you got started? Well, how you got started. We know you're a director, producer in films, but how did you get started in all this? Like, how did it begin?
Well, that's actually kind of fun story. So,
Yeah.
what happened was I was, let's see, I want to say I was probably 16, and my next door neighbor got a DV cam for his birthday, and they were bored. And they shot a monster movie that was about 5 minutes long with no monster. They just pretended there was a monster behind them, and they ran and screamed. And honestly, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And my other friend said, we could make a better movie. Let's make a feature. We had
Right
never
away.
thought about making a movie before in our entire lives.
Yeah.
And he says, let's make a feature film.
Wow.
And for some reason, we decided to do it.
Yeah.
But we made a medieval film. It was very much like Monty Python and the Holy Grail with special effects. And so, not knowing anything about how to make a film, we dove into making costumes. Like I still have a lot of the armor. I've got an entire suit of chainmail I made for it. We invested a year of prep work into this. And by the time we got there, we kind of just felt we had to make it work for all the, due to all the effort we put into it already.
Yeah.
But to show how like we'd put a lot of effort, but it was still completely ramshackle. Like when we got there day one, we hadn't thought of who would be running the camera. So we didn't have enough bodies to run the camera. So we flagged down a friend who happened to be driving by and like, hey, run the camera for us. We need a cameraman.
Wow.
So that started that way, and it kind of developed. And honestly, it never finished as a feature film. So, it was something we started when we were 16, but we do have a lot of scenes that are really great. I've actually been meaning to render them out and put them up on Facebook, because I have like one of my favorite scenes from the movie. There was this monk that had all these magical powers, and he had these lightning arrows that shot lightning bolts off them. And so he was firing lightning, arrows with lightning bolt powers, and he'd hit one guy and the lightning would spread out and take out 5 or 6 other ones. Or, one of my favorite ones was we actually put tied ropes through a bunch of trees, had put some pads on the other side, and had people run through them, and just got totaled, clotheslined by the ropes. But then we digitaled over those ropes with lightning bolts, so it looked like he just shot arrows on either side of the trees, and then the lightning bolts clotheslined them. And it was a beautiful looking effect because we actually did it real. It was a real rope that actually just clotheslined a person, and but it looked like a monk shot a lightning arrow into a tree and took him out.
Does this make sense, or like you could cut up and make it like Kentucky Fried Movie and just get
that's exactly what it was. Like it had so many things that were just designed to be comic. It was all just one variety of comedy or another. Like one of the scenes that I think was probably a favorite of all the creators. There was this one time they're wandering through a bunch of hills, and a bunch of the bad guys, our bad guys, pop out, and they pull up Christmas trees as what they called their anti-infantry battering rams. And it all came out because one day I was, one Christmas we were moving a Christmas tree in, and they dropped it on me, and I was like, that was painful. So I came up with the idea of a Christmas tree for a weapon. And so like literally we had like 10 guys running down the hill carried Christmas trees as their anti-infantry battering rams, and we put it to the tune of Jingle Bells. Did a bunch of fun Christmassy things with it. So every scene had its own unique comic flair, whether it was a monk throwing lightning or a Christmas tree battle scene. It had just a variety of interesting little bits to it.
So you had that, and then you were into comedy, but you've done a lot of drama. You've done so many different films now.
Please hire me to do another comedy. I love doing comedy.
But you've done a lot of dramas too.
Yep.
You do comedy, but what do you prefer? Do you prefer to produce it, or do you prefer to direct it?
I actually only produce to get myself a job.
Yeah.
I really don't care. Like I'm not bad at the producing. I like it. I enjoy it to a degree. I enjoy it like a job you enjoy, but I love directing. Like I love that's that's why I do what I do. Directing and writing. I love the writing part. Writing is just as, and honestly, it's a whole lot less headache because nobody complains when you're writing. Like there's nobody to talk back. There's nobody to say, "Oh, we're going overtime." Well, duh, you're a writer. Of course, you're going overtime. But that's so there's the low stress side of creating, in my opinion, is the writing, and the high stress side is directing. I love them both for probably very different reasons, and it's fun to see them come to life. One, it's really fun when you get a production where you actually can get everybody together before you actually do the first day, like when we did Infidelity, and we did a read through of the entire script. We just sat down and read the whole thing through, and that just felt so good before we worried about any of the crap that makes it on screen. The prettiness of day one, actually it was day -1 of production, doing the whole movie just sitting in chairs.
I think that's great. I think that to do that, it's I had my students they did a production recently, and I had them, the director, she casted and had all the cast, and they did a read through, and the film came out so much better because of the flow, and they knew and they were all there for it. So I always tell people, do an entire read through. It works.
Yep. And it allows you to catch problems early on, and also another thing that's really important. When we were doing a film, Suicide Party, which is my favorite comedy I've ever directed.
And where can we see that?
So that's actually pretty much everywhere. So I'll send you a link that sends you directly to it. But if you just search it on Amazon, it'll pop right up.
Maybe we'll probably put it up for you. So he'll put a little thing for you there on Amazon. So
it streams for free. If you have Netflix, Amazon Prime, you just pop it right up. Yep. Yeah. And actually, I'm not sure where to send them a link, but I'll even send them I have a web address that just goes directly to it. It just pops you right in there, which is nice.
Oh, so.
But anyway, so that was. And that was actually my first like comedy that because I had done that other comedy before as a kid, and that was the first time I got back to doing a comedy. And one of the things I realized, which I think people screw up a lot when they're trying to direct a comedy, and this is a problem with a lot of directors. I think a large number of directors have gone into directing because they're trying to correct a childhood insecurity. They didn't get the respect they wanted, and they feel this job gives them respect.
Okay.
When you're going to direct, you have to be ready to be taken down several pegs. You should go into it because you've got enough self-respect you can afford to lose some.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough job. And the thing that I was saying about comedy is a director is just there to support the comedian. That's his job.
Yeah.
And if he gets too carried away about forcing minute details, you start micromanaging people, you start taking away particularly from the authenticity of their comedy. Comedy is about spontaneity, and you start hacking on that, you're just going to ruin it. And that's why it's such a fun environment, because if you do it right, it's so positive and it's so fun.
Well, there's some directors that want, like in comedy or any director, that want what's on the page, and then there are others that are open to all right, you go try this, try that. What do you prefer? Do you want like, oh, you got to do the page first and then you can go, or you let them go?
So that's something that I think it's a little hard to say as a blanket statement, but I'm still going to make the blanket statement and say, I don't give a fuck what's written. If you can do a better job than the writer, do it.
Yeah.
And now that being said, if I'm hearing something and I'm like, I think what was written was better, then I'll let them get into their thing. I'll let them do their thing and put their mustard on it, and then say, hey, let's try it just for the hell of it, like the script says. But the best thing is if you let them do their thing first, they can bring some of their zing that they've built up with what they felt into what the author felt. And so I actually think it's better personally to do what they're feeling and then what the script says, as opposed to the other order.
Yeah. So you've done quite a few movies right now. Where are you located right now? You jump all over the place. You're
Oh
in
yeah,
Vegas, you're east, you're west.
yeah. So I am moving all over the place all the time,
Yeah.
and it's probably partially because I fell in love with shooting on location.
Mhm.
I've never shot in the same spot twice.
No.
And I've now shot in, I had a count a while ago, but I think I've shot in about 30 different states, give or take now.
Wow.
Um, and so I love doing that. And also due to the prep process and like that, I wind up moving, I wind up being very transient, going from one place to another.
Yeah.
So actually at the moment, I'm in far upstate New York. Once everything was going all haywire with Corona, I figured, you know what? I'm just editing for the next couple months. I got a place I can stay in New York.
Yeah.
I feel like nothing's going to happen. I might as well just hide out in the mountains and get my editing done, and then life will go on for me
Yeah.
as planned. So I honestly, if I wasn't listening to the news, I wouldn't know anything was happening.
Wow. Yeah. Just I was gonna say, well, at least you have internet and you're able
Yep.
to come on, right?
Yep. So I've always my whole life ordered everything on Amazon Prime. Nothing has changed for me in the slightest.
But it's a great opportunity for people in this industry to either, if you have an editor and you have something to edit. If you're writing something, I think everything went on a pause right now for filming wise. But
Mhm.
I have a feeling once we get out of this, like there's going to be so much written material, and people are it's gonna blow up the industry again. I have a feeling once it's all clear, once we're out of this, it's going to be entertainment like crazy.
I totally agree. And now one thing that I think is interesting is it going to create a shift in how we view things? Because already we were moving away from going to the theater
Yeah,
and we were watching more and more episodic series in our home.
that's true.
Well, now suddenly everybody's been isolated to their home. Theaters have been closed down, and a lot of theaters are now saying they're not planning to reopen.
I
So
heard that. Yeah,
yes.
unfortunately.
So is it going to shift us more into the episodic category? Which honestly, I prefer episodic stuff over film. I think film too often spends way too much time allowing the cinematographer to jack off, and too little time getting into the characters.
Well, what about like now? A lot of the movies that were supposed to be released are going right to on video on demand for like
Yep.
20 bucks.
Oh yeah. Well, and so actually, just kind of an example of that we decided to release our TV pilot Death's Door publicly. It's something that we're pitching. We still have several, quite a few people we're in active communications with, but everybody else was saying like HBO was releasing a lot of content for free during this period. And we said, let's join that phase. So we released our TV pilot, which is Death's Door, and it's actually, this is an easy web address to give. It's just deathsdoor.tv, and you can watch the full TV pilot there. And it's a really cool pilot because honestly it had a bunch of my favorite stars in it. And I have to say I love directing this, because quite often when you direct something and you work with a star, you kind of lose respect for that star, let's be entirely honest.
Really?
This did not happen at all on this production.
No.
I love these people even more than before I worked with them. So all of the lead characters are from network television. So we have Enrico Colantoni from Flashpoint, from Just Shoot Me, from Veronica Mars. I mean, his list, just the list of stuff he starred in is so long I can't list it here. Like the guy's unbelievable. Oh, Person of Interest, he's Elias. But anyways, he is just awesome to work with. So much fun on set and such a powerful performer. And honestly, I learned things about directing just from working with him. He's phenomenal. But so, other characters we had, so he was our star, and honestly, credit where credit was due, he became what made the project so big. It was going to be a relatively small, low budget project. And a friend of mine passed the script on to him, and he looked at it and he said, I have to play this part. And so from that point forward, it snowballed. And then so I was like, well, I got Rico in the lead. I've got to get all the talent surrounding him to be, as big
Very good.
talent as him. So I've got Jennifer Taylor, who played like 5 seasons of Two and a Half Men. I've got Ellen Hallman playing the other doctor with him, and Ellen Hallman, Ellen Hallman. I accidentally put a D on the end of that. She played in Spartacus, and now she's actually very large part in the new Matrix 4 film coming out.
Oh wow.
And all of them.
Unfortunately, they were going to film that, but they had to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all of them, phenomenal actors, like, and great to work with. Like, I really enjoyed working with them, and I'm not just saying that because I'm not a nice enough person to make that up.
So, was this what you were working on? You film? When did you end up finish filming this? And it's done. It's out there, right? So
yep, it's done. It's out right now. So yeah, like I said, it's available right now, just publicly to view, which I'm really excited about it. It's been, for me, honestly, it was one of the most. To go back to writing, it was one of the most rewarding writing things. One of the things, I'm not going to give away what line it was, but it was interesting. If you don't mind me rabbit trailing for a second.
No, I don't know.
When I was writing it, we actually went through several drafts of the script. The first draft of the script, the executive producer looked at it and he's like, no. Just like, no. And so we're like, okay, back to the drawing board on this. So then I wrote another one. And I got all the way to the end of the script and I hated it. It was bad.
Really?
But there was one line in it, and it's very near the end of the end of the current script. It's very and I was like, whoa, this line is the whole conflict of the personalities I created. I always knew the personalities I wanted. I didn't know the story I wanted around them. To me, I always start with the personalities. And so I was like, wow, this line encapsulates the whole conflict. So I threw away the entire script and I said, I'm going to write a story to get to that line. And so I did. I wrote this story literally, and it's the only time I've ever written a story in that way. Is I wrote the entire script, deleted it. I didn't even want it for like reference. I just copy and pasted out the line. So I'm gonna write to this line, delete, trash, empty trash, start it again, and just said I'm writing to get to that line. And it's right now. If people ask me, like, actually, I'm talking to somebody else about writing their script. If they ask me what script, can I read a sample of your work? That's the one. I love that script, and it was just funny how it came together. I just wrote to get to a line.
Wow, that's a good way to do it, though. If like even if I'm teaching, I get the kids, and you give them a line and be like, right around that line.
Mm-hmm.
I think that works. That's a good assignment.
It totally worked. It was amazing. It was amazing for me. And like, it was just really fun to do. I've never tackled it that way. Actually, I got to be honest. I think I do not have a uniform way of writing a script. Every one comes about in its own weird, bizarre way.
But the first thing you did was the characterization of the characters.
Oh, the characters. Yeah. Yep. The characters are like, honestly, I don't see a point in a film that isn't about the characters.
Oh, yeah. If you have some good characters, that's how you make the story. So
exactly,
that's really how to start it out. So that's a good start. Especially, I was going to say, if any advice of writing to the students out there, and that's like the perfect advice that you already said.
Actually, so I have to ask a dumbass question. I just got this mic. Is it sounding all right? I can't really hear myself.
No, it's pretty good. You're loud.
Oh, damn it.
No, it's loud. It's good to be loud. It's good to be loud. I can hear you just nice and clear, and it's not freezing up or anything. It's great. So
perfect.
I just got this mic. So this is my new mic here. I can't even get it on the camera. So I got a new mic. So hopefully I can't even hear me either. So I don't know how it is.
This is mine. I had to do a bunch of voiceover narration. Just it's not going to be the final narration, but I just had to hear it for syncing while I was editing. And I wanted something that didn't drive me freaking insane. So I picked it up, and it seemed to work pretty good so far.
And I haven't been using the headphones either, and it sounds really good through the headphones, but it messed up my hair before. So that's why I was like, oh, my hair's a mess now that I put the headphones on.
I love these headphones. It was funny. So I always break my headphones because I'm always working, and I don't like wireless headphones because I'm not good enough to charge anything. That will never happen. So I need a wired headphone. But my next problem is there's always things that are just out of reach when you have your headphones on. And I'm not going to take them off either. So and you do that. And eventually they always break. So these, they just pull right out.
Oh.
And I don't break my headphones anymore, which is amazing.
Yeah, I've done that plenty of times.
I'm saving myself a lot of money every year now.
You ever like you get up, you forget about it, and then you
back, absolutely.
You know? Especially when you're editing for hours, you don't even realize you're like,
yep. Oh yeah.
So
that's what I'm doing right now. I'm editing Zodiac, and it's actually really fun because one thing that annoys me is I do visual effects very well, and a lot of times my films don't merit visual effects. So I'll use visual effects, but there's stuff that nobody sees. You know, like so it's like, okay, I just put the actor's head from one performance on his body from the other performance, which is an amazing. Like it's a cool feat. But nobody's going to know I did that. Yeah. So that kind of annoys me. But in Zodiac, I get to do a lot of actual effects. Like we have
now, is this a feature or is this another show pilot?
This is a pilot. Yep.
This is the pilot. So you just did a pilot, and now you're doing
another one. Yep.
Another pilot.
Well, I think that's the way the world is shifting. People and people are now. Where I don't know, years ago, anybody was communicating with me saying, I want to hire you to make something. It was always a feature. But now I would say more often than not, they're asking me to make a pilot instead of a feature. And honestly, my long-term goal is to be the creator on an episodic series and a syndicated show. So fits in with my goal. So let's keep doing it until we win.
That's basically you have to keep trying to keep doing it until you get it, and next it only takes the one, and then you're on AMC with the series going on. You never know.
That's what I said to Alex and I were talking today, and I said you can fail as many times as you want. You only have to succeed once.
One time. Yeah.
Yep.
But this is a business that happens. We've done a lot of things, a lot of us, and a lot of failures, some successes, and we're addicted. We just keep going, right? Stop, no matter what.
The best way to describe it. Like I was describing this to a poker player, and he's like, that's the best thing I've ever heard. I'm going to steal it from you. I said, when you start doing it for the passion, for the art, and then after a while, you stay in it for the addiction.
Yeah.
And then it said, and eventually you get old and angry enough, you're just there as a fuck you to all the people who got in your way along the way. And he said, wow, I'm going to steal that. That applies to everything. That was funny.
It does apply to a lot of things, but mainly this industry and business. But there's so much that we can do, and we're always learning. So I'm home and I'm doing this show. You're editing. I'm listening to all these new shows or how-tos and things. So just learning new things so I can teach it.
I 100% agree.
Never stop.
That's the reason I like this ultimately. So when I was in school, I was studying quantum physics, and it sounds cool, but after you learn basically two weird equations, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's a field that literally has not proved a new thing in 120 years. It's a fact. You can look it up. It's the worst, most boring field ever. In film, what you're doing is learning every day. When I made Death's Door, I literally had to go. So the next draft of the script, after I said the producer hated the one draft, and then the next draft I didn't even show him. And the next draft he read it, he goes, "This is good drama, but I got to send you to medical school." And so it was funny because he brought me. I went to Boston, and I followed him a lot. While he was actually doing his medical procedures, and then I went through a lot of training actually with Ashley Gibson, and it was interesting because at the end of it, they gave us a bunch of certificates and stuff like that, and she said, "Yeah, actually, you did the real training, and so you actually are now certified in all these procedures in Massachusetts. I was like, well, that's cool. I have no intention of using it, but it's just the fun thing about being a director is the amount of things that you learn and you pick up when you're doing it, because it isn't a field that's just confined to this tiny little box. I will never learn everything I need to know to be a director.
No.
Every film I make,
learning.
I'll learn something new.
Yeah.
I'll learn something I like to do and something I will definitely never do again. Every film I make.
Yeah, great.
And you learn how to get through that problem that you created in the last film when you learned you would definitely never do that again. So you learn a trick to get through it as long as you have that persistence.
I got a question here from a man, Christian. He's one of the producers on a Shared Universe. He got a question he wanted to ask you. Have you ever considered doing something animated, like an animated pilot?
Actually, absolutely. I'm right now in talks with somebody about the funding for an animated film. And I've been wanting to do that for the longest time. So I got my fingers crossed big time. Because actually, if you pull up my film, the trailer for my thing, Me, My Dog, and I have an animated cartoon animated opening and a cartoon animated ending. And I really like it. It was me just trying to do. I wanted to do that my whole life, and so I'm really excited that this other thing will come through and to allow me to actually make a full animated film, because I do, like I said, I do visual effects. I've done visual effects for which are not the same, but they're adjacent, and there's a lot of crossover, depending upon how what you're doing. But I've done visual effects for multiple theatrical films now where I was the key visual effects artist. I have the skill to do it. I just it's its own thing, and I need to find its own financer that wants to do it. Yeah. I actually might have that. I might be doing that within the next 2-3 months. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be so I'll kind of tell a little bit without giving anything away because I'm not officially there. It will be it's based on an animated it's based on a book series, and so we'll be making an animated based on the stylings of the original author of a children's book. And so what we did is we developed a pitch, which was, this is the best way to preserve the original style of your artworks into this animated film. And they really liked our pitch, and so we're just waiting to see how that goes. I'm hoping that it happens. It'd be awesome.
That's Christian's wheelhouse. You said that's dope. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
well, and like I said, I would really want to do this. So if it falls through, Christian better hire me to help him out on one of his things, because I want to do it.
He's also a puppeteer.
Let's do it. Oh, dude, I would love. No, see, but the puppeteer, like, I see what I've always wanted to do is make a film which is it's 3D, it's 2D artworks with 3D animated cameras, which fits very well with the puppeteer kind of thing. And there's some films that have been done that way that are just phenomenal, and I've really wanted to do that because it preserves that cartoony style that's very retro with a very modern flair.
He said he has a bunch of puppet film pitches.
Hell yes.
Yeah. So he's got some good stuff out there. So you gotta go check it out. So
I absolutely will.
Yeah. So I'll send it to you. I'll send, or Christian, you can hook up. You can send you some stuff. So what is coming up on the agenda once we get through all this? You gonna do another pilot after this pilot?
So
the idea. The next what's the next thing?
So the next thing I'm doing, which I'm actually very excited about, it's a dramatic, it's a romance drama, which I haven't gotten to do a romance drama in a while. I love romance dramas.
You do? I've seen.
Dude, it amazes me. Like I love romance dramas to the point where I get annoyed by all these people that are just such haters. Like, I'm gonna say, like, if you like I don't know how many times I've heard Notting Hill brought out as the go-to. This is a piece of shit film, and I want to punch you in the face.
I
if you
like
think
I
that.
like Notting Hill. I like
Yeah,
Notting Hill.
it's amazing. And so I love films like that. I love sappy romance comedies with quirky, charming characters. Let's be honest. I mean, the world is tough. It's fun to escape that for a little bit. And
Absolutely.
and so you know, I'm really excited about doing this next one. Is going to be so it's kind of like Crash, where we have 4 different characters, and it's all it follows all of their interactions interlink in one way or another. You know, actually apologize. We have 4 different relationships, 8 different characters, and all of them interlink in one way or another. Like the therapist is one of the characters, and he's an interesting character. He's very extroverted. He's very introverted. He's very good at connecting with people, getting them to talk. But in his own personal life, he's not so good at you know, actually really connecting with people. He's a good sounding board, but he's not really, and so he feels very isolated.
Sounds like a lot of us.
Exactly. And so it was funny because it was an interesting story, because again, we start with characters always when we're developing concepts, and we were kicking around our concepts for the characters, and on our phone call, this is Alex and I, and most of the stuff we come up with, we'll just get on a 2-3 hour phone call and we'll just kick around concepts forever. And at the beginning of the phone call, we said, you know, this the therapist guy, we were like, you know, like I like the idea of him, but he's definitely the worst character there. And it was funny just to feel him out and find his little things, like you know, he's in a therapy session and he's making notes on his phone, but at the same time he's switching apps and checking his Tinder, and things like that. You know, like he's just this guy who, and he's great at connecting with people in his therapy office, but he struggles in his real life. And he's a very fun character. And so it was fun to fill him out and go from being like, I don't really like him, and then at the end of the conversation, we're like, yeah, he's going to be a fun character, right? Be a fun character to act.
Keith Collins chimed in. He says, "What's up, Jack?"
Hey, Keith, I love you, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't see anything for our. You know, every year we go down to Atlantic City. I haven't seen anything yet for
I
this
don't know.
Coming October, if anything's happening.
I'm getting a little worried about that, to be honest.
So I know a lot of people are taking a year off this year, but
a lot of festivals are straight up taking a year off.
We got moved to September.
Yeah.
We're in September now.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I'm really hoping it happens, or even if they make it a smaller version of it, that'd be cool. You know,
just for like the people that usually come down, if we have something to watch and put together, just to hang out and do something for this year, and then blow it up again or whatever.
Exactly.
But it's always a great time.
If it doesn't work out, you know, we'll figure out a way. When I've got reversal, and we'll figure out a way to screen reversal so we can all have an excuse to get together.
Awesome.
That'd be the way to do it.
Do you have anything that you want to promote? Any sites or any pages? If you want to repeat what you want to do again for everybody out there, just before we wrap up here and everything, just to
no problem.
Get it out there for you.
So in terms of things I would like to promote, I really want to promote Death's Door because we're just putting it out right now. It's a medical drama. It's got all television stars in the lead positions. So if you pop it up, you might not recognize their names. Some actors are more face recognizable than name recognizable. You might not recognize their names, but I guarantee you will recognize them by face. Like I said, our lead actor is from Flashpoint. Just Shoot Me, Veronica Mars. The list just goes freaking on. I cannot get over the work ethic of this man. He's unfreaking believable. I looked at the number of television shows that he starred. I actually think he has starred number 1 position in 10 different television shows that were syndicated for. And I'm not talking about one. All of them are over 1 season long. Didn't count it if it got canceled. He was in a couple that got canceled in 1 season. Didn't even count that. 10 that made it for more than the first season.
That's great.
And honestly, He fucking deserves it. Enrico is fucking awesome. I love him. I can't wait to work with him again.
That's awesome.
So anyways, deathstore.tv. Super easy to remember. Go there and check it out. Also, if you want to check something out that's dark and disturbing, check out Driver. I love the film Driver. Driver we shot in Vegas, and the idea ultimately came about because we were driving around and I said, look at all the production value out the window of this car. And we're like, this is phenomenal because Vegas, everywhere you look, it's lit, it's beautiful, it's phenomenal. Yeah. And so I said, we got to make a film that is in a car so we can have this production value in the background all the time. And so then it just came from that conversation. It snowballed from that. It's about a Uber driver / serial killer with multiple personality disorder.
And where can we see this? Where can we watch this?
So that's up on Amazon Prime. Okay. And so the easiest way if you just Google Driver. Yep, I think it pops up as the fourth hit. The first hit is Drive because Ryan Gosling's obviously sniping us. And then I think it's generally number 4. If you search just Driver on Amazon, and if you want to throw in like Lundgren, Driver Lundgren, it'll be number 1.
Awesome.
That was a really fun film. So I have to say, actually, the onset experience was miserable. It was a film about serial killers with multiple personality disorder.
But you made it in Vegas.
Yep. Oh yeah, but the problem with the onset, just because, and this is the interesting thing between drama and comedy. Comedy is so upbeat. It's so encouraging, exciting, and fun. Drama is often the exact opposite. Drama, like particularly this one, which was a drama about a serial killer with multiple personality disorder. Mm-hmm. It was dark and disturbed, and so being on set was the whole attitude was pretty grim. And it was interesting too because I had up to that point believed that a good product comes from when you're having fun on set.
Yeah.
And it proved me otherwise. It was a miserable set, and it's actually currently my favorite feature film I've ever created. But it was miserable as hell. So I just have to say, just to the credit of the lead actor, he was so deep into character that his girlfriend, who's friends of mine, told me that 4 months before we were even filming, he was into that character to the point where if he was alone, he would be talking to himself with his multiple personalities just continually. So he developed that 4 months earlier and kept it running to the point where when we were on set, he had a Bluetooth in his ear and he had a conversation. So she would be on the other end, and his multiple personality, according to the story, would just berate and insult and humiliate him. And so he had her on a 16-hour phone call every day, just attacking him emotionally, just to keep him in that space. And it was the performance he gives is unfreaking believable. Like I'll say this, like I genuinely he hasn't been discovered yet, which I think is unfortunate for him. It's unfair. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of luck in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
I believe he is genuinely one of the greatest actors I have ever worked with. He's freaking phenomenal. It's Steven Medevec. He carried that film. He made it with the commitment that he had to come up with the idea. I didn't come up with the idea of getting on a 16-hour phone call of somebody humiliating him all the time, but that's what made it work. And one of the things that I loved he did is there are times his character switched, just mentally switched from his one persona to the other. And it blew my mind what he could do with that. So he would go from his one character was a slub. It was miserable. Everything was down. Like he was horrible. He couldn't get the attention of any women, anything. And his other character was suave. He was cool. He was sexy. And it amazed me. There's one shot near the end of the film where he literally goes from the persona of the schlub to the suave guy, in the same shot without any makeup changes. And I'm like, if you pause this shot and you take a screenshot, this is a schlub. And then 30 seconds later, with no makeup change, no nothing, this is a sexy man. Like, and he did that with his persona. And that's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah. Well, we're a little bit out of time here, so just do you have any final things you want to say? And we got all your promotions there on the side. People were chiming in. We'll have this up on SoundCloud as well as on YouTube in the next couple of days, but we're on Facebook Live right now.
Mhm.
So it was great having you on, man. And I know you got to get back to editing.
Yep.
I got to get back to schoolwork.
I don't really have anything to add. It was really fun. As you can see, I just rant about anything. That's just who I am.
That's great.
It was fun to come on and rant with you. I love
Yeah.
you, man. I really, like I said, if we don't go to Atlantic City this year, we got to come up with a way to do that. Like, I don't unfortunately have any shorts to submit this year. But unless, but so we have to figure out a way to hang out this year.
Yeah, definitely. So
That's what I'm saying.
I can't wait till they let us back in Atlantic City because
Exactly.
I'm not a gambler, but I want to go. I want to go to Atlantic City.
Exactly.
So,
Yep. So yeah. So that's my last thing. We got to figure out how to hang out this year, and let's make it happen.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks a lot, and everybody. I'll see you guys soon. So cool.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yep. See ya.